to another daily cast here. We will be spectating if the game wants to. Yeah, we're spectating Vazir and Ceeezor against Seraphin and SSP. Yeah, Shadow Cup is still open to registration for both teams and casters. We are currently at two casters which are certain to be there, but one that is not sure yet if he's gonna get there, because he doesn't know if his teammate will be there, so he's registering both. But if there's a dropout before, he will turn out to be a caster. So for now, this is the situation, still open to anybody who wants to join, of course. Caster's deadline is tomorrow, while the team registration ends on October 1st. So we do have a gate guard start here from Vazir with a buzz to hold a snail if there's one. We do have a nightmare start from Ceeezor. He did receive a snail, so he's quite fine. SSP going for the aviator starts here with the pack rats. And Seraphin does have the nightmare as well. If we look at the builds of those who have nightmare, I think the Ceeezor's one is a bit better. And the only reason why it's a bit better is because of that gargoyle. Like Seraphin has the infiltrator, of course, vulnerable. This is vulnerable on wave 3 to a lizard, while the gargoyle is not. So more flexible for Ceeezor in the early game, and he might hold his 40 cent on 3, but with the 20 here, should not receive anything on wave 3. We do have only one treasure hunt on SSP at 3 workers right now, going to 4. So let's see, he gets 10 extra, so he can't get a 40, so he can catch Ceeezor greeting, but Ceeezor playing it safe, going to go for those two gargoyles, and he'll be fine. And only income from SSP. And Seraphim does follow him with income as well. And we see good preparation from Vazir for wave 4, but despite receiving a 20 on wave 1, did not decide to go for the 5th worker. So this might say that he goes for 6 workers, shift for the Harbinger on 5 and then push even more, or stay 5, add a little bit and shift for the Harbinger. He needs the Harbinger on wave 5 no matter what he does, so let's see if he realizes that. We do have the Seraphin here from Ceeezor instead of the Gargoyles, so already looking forward to wave 5 instead of only thinking of wave 3, so don't dislike that. This is a better, safer, and more stable opener. We do have here the Infiltrator. He did not receive anything here. He is receiving from Ceeezor. Ceeezor probably going for Imps on wave 5. But now the only thing... Okay, so this is not good for Seraphin, because his only chance of holding Imps on next wave is to go for that Orchid. So don't do that, risk the shift, and if you risk the shift, you're doing way better. Like, if you get sent here, let's set Dino, you still do very well here. You clear most of the wave, and sometimes accepting that you leak on your strongest wave is better than leaking on your weakest wave, because you expect them to send you on the weakest wave, while on the strongest wave, no. So it slows down your worker push a bit, but at least you are covering your weakest wave, so the worst case possible. So going for... Wait, I'm losing my track of what I want to say. Yeah, going for a risky shift can be better on your strongest wave if it allows you to hold better on your weakest wave. So it's optimizing, some kind of optimization, you can say. But the imps are coming, and he goes for the butcher here, And you see, this is 150 go, right? If this is not here, if the buckler is not here, that is 200, he gets the orchid, he is safe on 5 and 6. And then on 6, if he still didn't get to send on wave 5, he can go for the butcher for the lifesteal on the orchid and the nightmare. So way safer as a start. You accept that you may leak on 4, but you at least enable yourself to hold wave 5, which is not the case at the moment for Seraphin. Vazir, I did receive a 100 cent. No, no Harbinger here, so there was no shift on wave 4. I forgot to check that. But he does go for the Pilgrim, meaning that all these doggos and Gate Guard are surviving. Good split here for the Nightmare, but still not enough. This will result into a leak from Ceeezor as well, but not as big as the one of Seraphin. That could have been avoided. So not the best situation for Seraphin at the moment, as Ceeezor able to greed way more because of his build. Just turns that into a Devilfish, and yeah, he's perfectly fine on next wave. He does have the work advantage at 8, 7 on Vazir. SSB staying at 6 workers because he wants to use those treasure hunts as much as he can. But at one point, he needs to transfer all this onto workers as well. He needs to generate a worker lead as well as being able to use those treasure hunt. I think this is a mistake here, not going for the double. Yes, again, you are at risk of leaking, but it's way better for you if you leak here because you don't want them to go 8, right? So you want to go 8 yourself, but you don't want them to go 8. So if you make this a long wave, that may bring some panic onto them. And so they might send you on 7, which is your strongest wave by far. So Seraphin at 6 workers, doing a treasure hunt. I mean, now they decide to go income on 7, which I think is a mistake. Because Vazir is gonna choose between the Deep Cutter and Harbinger. Yes, normally the correct choice is the Deep Cutter because you want to protect wave 8 over 7. Let's see what he decides to do here. In 190, this is enough the Harbinger. He does go for the Harbinger, so he knows that he's gonna get the Cutter next wave no matter what, even if he doesn't receive, so he decides to get the better option for this wave, which is the Harbinger because it is paired with a Pilgrim. Going for a Green Devil here on Ceeezor does have an upper split, and oh no, that's even split, so he will be fine anyhow. Going for a treasure hunt here on SSP, not ever greeting to, doesn't want to play too far undervalue, which might back him back. And Seraphin going for a suiciding nightmare. Not sure about that one. Like, yes, normally you want your nightmare on the side here, but when you place your nightmares in a diagonal like this, you can have double butcher buff, which is better in the long run, but of course more prone to leaking with 8. But I think no matter, this is tanking way too much on wave 8, so I think Seraphim is leaking. How much? Probably a lot more than he wants to. I mean, he has enough for the Orchid. Cannot boost the Orchid though, but this Nightmare will just die here. This is just taking full aggro. And SSP going for the treasure hunt here while being weak here? Well, he's not the weakest, but he needs to. I mean, Seraphin is weak here. Like, yes, he's on value, but he's still weak. I think it's a bit of a mistake. Okay, yeah, he decided to go against it here, so that means that he will be potentially fine. I mean, he has the damage to kill the mole, and he does kill it, which means now that the color is doing damage. And here you go. This is a clear from SSP. This is a leak from Seraphin, as expected. And that's because this Nightmare is just dying instantly. So yeah, I'll try to zoom in more, but look at the difference here. Like Vazir 13 workers, Ceeezor 12 workers, SSP 9 workers, and Seraphim 7 workers. Like, yes, they long saved you, but they are still ahead in the workers. And you might say to yourself, "Oh yeah, but I'm holding, so I'm possibly ahead now, right?" But that's not necessarily the case. But the reason here might allow SSP and Seraphim to go back into the lead here. So we need to see a push from SSP and treasure hunts. Yes, exactly. Well, he didn't push that much, but invested into treasure hunts instead, and Growl also to get something big next wave, possibly a Phoenix. And yeah, it's not the end of the world for him to treasure hunt here, despite receiving a brute, because Canopy is good damage, this is good tank. Oh wait, that's 2 brutes, and this is good damage as well. The quarter, better damage than you expect from wave 9. Sniping 1 brute is massive here for SSP. Let's zoom in here. And it's all depending on... Ooh, the aggro is not too bad here. And now it's just a question of if he snipes the brute or not. It doesn't look like he will. The quarter is tanking perfectly though. And it will be a leak for SSP in the end. No snipes on that brute. And what about the Nightmare player? It is a leak as well. So small leaks here and there. Still trigger hunts are on SSP, so that is 30 lithium. And what we want to see is with 11. Like if they manage to go with 11, I think they can quite easily because they have quota. Uh, and so, okay, they go for income. But I mean, you'll never get an advantage if you just go for income after leaking that much in the early game. So yes, you are catching back up in workers, but Vazir is still 3 worker ahead of SSP. So I think they just misinterpret the situation right now. Like, I mean, Vazir might still leak here because he's quite undervalued. But income sense? I mean, this is not leaking anytime soon. I mean, there's no defensive spells, so why don't you... Well, I mean, there's Pulverizer on the Nightmare, which is not ideal, of course. Yeah, I just don't really get that that send here. I do think that the send on 11 is just a bit better. I mean, yeah, Vazir is leaking. I mean, it's a win, but we do have Ceeezor holding. And what I want to see for Ceeezor is full push. I don't care about anything. You got Villain or Pulverizer on the Doppel. Which one is the best? I do prefer Pulverizer on a Nightmare because of the high attack speed that it already has, so it applies a stun way more often. It's way more valuable. So I do expect Pulverizer for the Nightmare players. Oh no, Ceeezor going for the damage. More damage. More damage equal more healing, so it's another way to look at it. One favors your tank line, and the other favors your Nightmare on its own. So going for the damage route. SSP going for the Giant Snail, Vazir going for the Giant Snail as well, and Pulverizer from Seraphin. And yeah, that positioning that we discussed here, it forces you to do something like that. The 2 butchers touching themselves is not really the ideal situation you have. You lose some value onto that. So we'll see how it turns out, but the higher push is on Vazir and Ceeezor. Ceeezor can allow... Wait, he's doing it as well? What? Is that a new thing that I don't know about? What? And yeah, I'm kind of troubled. And they do decide to go for 12, but I think they could have afforded to go for 14. Like, protect your Wake Wave, but I mean, you're sending to serve him as well, so he can't do the same strategy as you. So I mean, can still be decent here. But I don't see. Oh yeah, that's a send on 12 for everybody. But I don't see Ceeezor leaking. I don't see Seraphin leaking if he gets the double. And I do think he gets it. Yes, he gets it. Vazir. Vazir is at risk of leaking here, to be honest. But does have the boar though. So the boar might change some stuff. So boar right here. Uh, I mean, it does. It does gets the benefit of the Lost Chieftain, so I think if you just want it as a tank, it's fine, but it does sound suboptimal, if you ask me. But let's see how it turns out, right? But Sense on 12 for everybody. Seraphin needs to hold here. That's the most crucial part, which not a fan of it, but I do understand the logic. The split is composed of a lot of rats, so more mana for the witch. Second pro goal comes early. But the lifesteal with Polarizer double is just not leaking here. If we look at SSP here, he did not have the frontline necessary on that wave to be holding. But we do have the damage ramp up of the double, and in the middle it should be the edge chef in front. We do have Vazir still leaking here. We did predict that he was a bit weaker here, and Ceeezor just holding as well. So we do have the double players holding, but SSP leaking way more than Vazir did. So now we need to expect the 15 cent, pretty much from everybody. But people will see the Phoenix, and I think the ones who will come ahead is those who decide to. That's a no push from SSP. SSP did not push, but he's still very far under. That is not good, if you ask me. Now you need to treasure hunt here. If you're SSP, you need to treasure hunt. Like, accept that you are a low worker. Just use the fact that you have a Phoenix here. Exploit the strong wave that you have currently, and greed those Mythium. You need that extra Mythium. If you want to do for a race, you'll need every bit of Mythium that you need. Doesn't go for it. He's too afraid with the value that he has. But recognizing the value you need with the units you have is why Treasure Hunt can be very good. Aviator does it very well, greeting when he can. Sometimes it's frustrating a little bit because you're like, well, yeah, I didn't see that he could go there. It can be the difference maker, and you see how easily SSP is holding, and that's not because he had those rats or not. So the saves is still going. SSP very far under the workers here. Vazir 18, Ceeezor 22, SSP 13, and Seraphin is at 17. We do have the Phoenix coming up here, and same thing apply. If you have this diagonal here, like, you do way better. Like, I do think that there's a Butcher coming up here with the Phoenix. Does he have enough gold for that? I don't think so. 22, 214. No, you just have enough for one Phoenix, which is suboptimal right now. So the Sands on 15 should be coming for pretty much everyone. SSP and Seraphin need to risk to save here. They need to risk it. And Vazir and Ceeezor, yeah, okay, so they decide to go and match them. The only problem is that Ceeezor will have two Phoenixes and not just one. And this Phoenix has double lifesteal, which is even more terrifying than the single lifesteal of the one of Seraphin. You will have a lot of spam in the side here. We do see the Shaman with the T's, perfect to counter the Orchid and the Phoenix. We do have SSP having this Phoenix here, but will be susceptible because this Phoenix is tanking fully the wave. Like, the wave is completely on it. Like, there's no share aggro or anything. So that can be quite bad for SSP. But let's see. Ceeezor did push quite a lot, but does have double Phoenix, as we said. No, not much magic damage here, only the 2 pilgrims on the set of Vazir, so they are still susceptible to leaking. Here you see this Phoenix from SSP already dead, and the one from Seraphin is just not tanking anything, and so there's no increased damage. The double with Paralyzer is not doing its work, and this is a leak from Seraphin, this is a leak from SSP, this is a hold, yes, this is a hold from Ceeezor, and this is a very close to a hold from Vazir, but they do take the game here, no matter against SSP and Seraphin. Uh, just better push and good pressure from them. I think the big problem from SSP and Seraphin is that they never tried to go for something proactive. They were always on the defensive the entire game, going for income sends again and again. The only aggressive thing they did is pack leader on 12. Like there were no power mercenary at all. It's always income, king ups, ensure you scale. But when you see Butcher with Nightmare, like the more you send income to them, the better they feel. Like if you played defensively like that from SSP and Seraphim, it's because you do that because you're getting saved on. So knowing that you're getting saved on, you'd say, okay, I need more gold, things like that. But you come up with the loop that if a mid-game powerhouse that Ceeezor has a free early game without punishment, he will be able to outpush you no matter what. And they will dictate the pace. From this point on, when you decided to just hold the long save by income sending, you decide from this moment that you go for a defensive play and you accept that your opponent dictating the pace of the game in the mid game. And in the mid game, when you have something such as lifesteal doppel, and you know they can go wave 10 into 14 to kill you, that is one unit you don't want that to give to it. It could have been fine if Seraphin did not get punished himself on wave 5. And as I said, it is partly because of this buckler. If he does those 3 pack rats, like it doesn't matter. Like you do it, you don't do them, doesn't change anything to hold. And just shift the gold. Accept that you're gonna leak a little bit to a dino. Even if you can boost a little bit if you need to, but never fully commit. Like um if you if you know that the player is known for saving quite a long time, right? And you know that you're dead to imps on 5, if you get a butcher, then don't get a butcher. Go for something that's good on 5 and 6. And yeah, just accept that you leak. Or if you decide, like, just do the buckler, don't do these, and they don't send you 4, sell the buckler, get your orchid. You know that if you don't get sent on 4, it's imps. 110% is imps. So sometimes you need to cut your losses. Either you risk it and you don't build anything, or you do semi defensive play and you do your buckler in case they send you a dino, let's say, and then you just say, okay, they didn't send me. Be committed to the sell here. Sell this, accept that those are imps, go for the orchid. Boom, you hold wave 5. You can full push your save on a 6. Put your butcher on 7. You got nightmare with lifesteal. Very good. They probably send you lizards because they see only swift armor. So yet again, with the surprise butcher, can allow you to hold 7 without any problems. And here, if you go for this nightmare, protect it on wave 8. If you put that and don't protect it on wave 8, this is just dying instantly, and this is not a tank, so you lose 185 gold. It's like you were minus 195. This nightmare does not have time to do any damage on that wave. So I think slight positioning mistakes and decision making on Seraphin has to be improved a little bit, especially with a role like this. Like he had the perfect option to counter those imps on 5. And maybe too much pressure relief on Ceeezor here. Yes, you make him leak here with income sense, but um, like if it's a hard moment, you don't leak him. If you want to leak him, you possibly just want to go for double DT, right? Before income, you go double DT, or you go DT Snell DT. Then you do way better against that. You see the magic damage, do something about it. So I think too defensive for SSP and Seraphin, and not enough proactive. So yeah, on that, gonna end up the cast. Hope you liked it, and see you next time.